The following program is a special presentation of Fox Sports Net.
Atlantic City, New Jersey, a place that's known for its boardwalk, pretty well known for its casinos, and pretty well known for fighters who not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, and over the past 12 months, we've had an opportunity to see an awful lot of fighters in an awful lot of fights in an awful lot of weight divisions here on Fight Time on Fox. Over the next hour, we're going to have an opportunity to look back on a couple of fights that really did live up to the hype. One of them was in the heavyweight division. It took place down in Miami, Florida, between a couple of guys who have been there, done that, and hope to be there and do that all over again. Alex Stewart and a guy named Phil Jackson. But before we get to that fight, we thought we might look back on a fight in the junior welterweight division between a guy who falls into that category of work in progress. He comes from a boxing heritage. His name, Hector Camacho Jr. You know the name. Pretty soon, you'll know Junior. As he says, it's Junior time. And he got a very good test from a veteran fighter by the name of Fred Curiel. Let's join my partner, Rich Marotta, right now as we look back on the best of Fight Time on Fox.
Welcome to Atlantic City, where all sorts of swingers are making the scene. It's time for another action-packed edition of Fight Time on Fox.
Hector Camacho Jr. is 17-0, but what else would you expect from the son of Macho Camacho? A word of caution, this chip off the old block, ready to rock.
Get ready for war on the Jersey Shore. Fight Time on Fox is next on Fox Sports Net.
And we welcome you back to the Trump Casino and Marina Casino Hotel. And hotel, I'm going to get this right. It's all those things. It's a casino, it's a hotel, it's on a marina.
You're close.
It's terrific. And we got a great fight for you tonight, too, to start things off. You know the name Camacho, of course. Well, this is the son of Hector Camacho Jr., flashy kind of guy, just like Dad.
Yeah, maybe not quite as flamboyant, but nonetheless, the kid has some skills. He moves a lot like Dad, looks a lot like him, and his outfits are often quite as flamboyant as the Macho Man.
And I think we're going to see that again tonight, too. He gets Fred Curiel tonight in our first fight. This guy was an outstanding amateur. I think this is really going to be a good test for young Hector.
Yeah, Curiel is a guy that definitely has some talent, Barry. There's no question about that, and he has come here to win this fight against Hector Camacho. In fact, that's exactly what he said to us when we managed to talk to him. Curiel was saying, well, Camacho's not a big test for him. I think I'm a big test for, the other way around.
Yeah, that's the way he felt about it. He really does give himself a legitimate chance to win the fight, and quite frankly, I do too. It's going to be a very good test for Camacho to see where he is, and we're going to see where Hector Camacho is right now, and there he is. And this is the outfit of the night. A little something understated, I think, Red.
Well, he is being carried in on the shoulders of his adoring members of his entourage. I'm almost speechless here, Barry.
Yes. That is a page out of the book of Macho Sr., isn't it? Going for the simple Roman theme.
Yeah, but I do think he's outdone himself in here by actually being carried into the ring, and he's hopeful, of course, that he won't be carried out, Barry.
That's the one thing he's got to concern himself with. Meantime, Fred Curiel in that familiar position of what has become the challenger, and that is cool your heels while a champion makes an entrance. But this is a guy really who's been around the track, and I have an idea this will not be a distraction to him.
Well, he's got his head on pretty straight, I think, Curiel, a kid who comes out of the Dominican Republic. He's a very friendly kid, but as he said, he grew up kind of on the street of hard knocks and learned how to fight early in life and carried it right into the gymnasium. And he's a pretty good boxer, puncher type, and I expect him to give Camacho a pretty good go of it.
I think he will, too. It's going to be interesting to see how Camacho fights when the show business ends and the fighting starts. As we take a look at the Budweiser tail of the tape. And you can see Camacho, not yet 20 years old. Curiel, just 23, even though he's 4 years the senior of Camacho. Just about the same height, just about the same weight. A little bit of a reach advantage for Curiel. I doubt that that's really going to be a factor in this fight. He's going to have to catch Hector Camacho Jr. Here are the Jersey rules. 10-point must system will be in effect. The 3 knockdown rule will not. There will not be a standing 8 count. There cannot be saved by a bell in any round. Only the referee can stop the fight. And the headbutt rule, we go to the cards after 3 rounds. Right now, let's take it to the center of the ring and Thomas Treiber. Thomas.
From the Trump Marina in Atlantic City, New Jersey, America presents, and the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, proudly present to you Fight Time on Fox. Let's get the action started. We have for you, first of all, 10 rounds of boxing in the junior welterweight division. And when the bell rings, the referee in charge of the action will be Benji Estevez. Introducing to you first, fighting to my left out of the red corner, he's wearing red trunks with blue trim and weighed in at 142 pounds. Coming to us from Paterson, New Jersey, he has a professional record of 14 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, with 5 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Freddie Curiel. And his opponent, fighting directly across from him out of the blue corner. Tonight, he's wearing silver trunks with blue trim and weighed in at 143 3/4 pounds. Hailing from San Juan, Puerto Rico, he is undefeated with 17 wins and 11 of them coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hector Macho Camacho Jr. Once again, your referee in charge, Benji Estevez, now to give the instructions.
Okay, man, again, first off, this is the borderline right here, okay? It's a little high, okay? Again, Chief second. Just bear my commands again. Give me a nice clean one. Good luck to both of you. Just touch up.
Well, nice clean one could be the key words of this fight. The last time Fred Curiel was in a fight, it was anything but.
Well, he fought a Turkish prospect by the name of Cihat Salman, who was undefeated at the time in 9 fights. And to say it was a dirty fight would be an understatement. In fact, Curiel found himself kicked and found himself at one point having his opponent jump on his back during the fight. Another time pushed him down. It was quite a dirty fight. It ended up a draw, however. And you will see Curiel's a pretty good boxer puncher. He's going to go after Camacho and try to put pressure on him, but not get caught in the mistake of just following him around the ring right there in front of him, because that could be a real doom for him if that's the case.
And Camacho can make you do that. It's pretty good left hand by Camacho.
I tell you, those trunks of Camacho's are almost X-rated, Barry.
They look like they weigh a ton.
We try to keep our cameras away from the sideways views.
Camacho doing anything but running early in this fight.
And Curiel caught him with a very good left that caused Camacho's face to redden a little bit on the right side of his face.
Well, of course, anybody who has seen Hector Camacho Jr., as you and I have, remember the fight with Troy Crane when he had the fight very much in hand, and in 30 seconds from the end, Crane just hit him with a shot that dropped him, and had that fight have been any longer than 30 seconds from the end, it might have been over for Hector.
It was an absolutely shocking moment to see Camacho go down in that fashion, because he was really, really hurt, and his legs were gone at that point when he got up, and he was very wobbly. And if there had just been a minute left to go, Barry, he may not have been able to survive.
So I think in the early career of Hector Camacho, good straight left hand there by Camacho. In the early career of Camacho, this is going to be his sternest test.
Did a nice job of spinning his opponent around there, worked him a little bit, got behind him, spun him around, and now Camacho's showing a pretty good jab. Camacho not running here. There was some thought on Curiel's amongst his brass that Camacho would be a runner, but he's not.
No, standing there and actually doing a pretty good job in this first round. Camacho doesn't fancy himself as a knockout artist. He's quick to say if they come, they come. They don't, I'm not going to worry about it. There's a good quick right hand from Curiel. So Camacho has dished out a little punishment, but he's also taken a little in this first round. Little red widening over the right eye of Hector Camacho Jr. also, and it's in a spot that could eventually cause him a problem.
Both these guys are very quick-handed. It would seem like this would be the type of fight where we might have a very high volume of punches.
Lead right hand by Curiel. You talked about Curiel's attitude coming into this fight. He's a very confident fighter, just in a way. He said, you know, this is a test for Camacho. This isn't a test for me.
And he said he would do whatever it took to win tonight, Barry. If it had to be dirty tactics, because we referred to that, he said, I'll do whatever it takes to win.
Hung in there pretty well, actually. Hector Camacho Jr., of course, people are talking a chip off the block of his father. Simple fact is, his father did not have a great influence on his life, but in terms of boxing skills, there's a lot to say between the two of these guys.
Well, it's obvious pressure, yes, you know, because of course, I'm the son. I'm junior. I feel like I'm forced to become or perform better than he is, but he has fought because it's a lot of pressure. First of all, I'm junior. Then again, people say, "Oh, how good is he?" It's like his father. He won't be like his father. So there's a lot of pressure. But it's something I learned to deal with in my career, and you know, it doesn't bother me.
And I think he really is rightfully proud of his father's accomplishments, but by the same token, Rich, I think he's very much his own guy, too.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways he's a lot more sensible than his more famous father with. He says he tries to understand his dad and his dad's lifestyle and just tried to kind of deal with it on that basis. Camacho is doing a very good job right now of counter-punching, a real nice job, and he's making Curiel pay for it when he misses punches. Camacho, it would appear, has the edge in quickness. They're both quick-handed, but he's beating Curiel to the punch. Curiel, as I mentioned earlier, from the Dominican Republic, says he loves Sammy Sosa. He said his whole family loves Sammy Sosa. In fact, they went to the parade honoring Sosa in New York.
Yeah, they live here in Paterson, New Jersey now, and that's just across the river, of course, from the city of New York, and they made the trip in.
He was born in the Dominican, then came to Paterson, New Jersey at the age of 3. Said he began boxing just in the neighborhood. They'd set up little tournaments right around their homes.
Yeah, and then he said he was playing a little baseball and playing a little bit of football, and then he was going to go to a high school here in Paterson, New Jersey, and
East Side High School.
East Side, thank you. And he said, when I knew I was going to East Side High School, I thought I better learn to fight.
Interesting chess match here developing, Barry, as it evolves. Right now, though, the edge and quickness of the hands of Camacho is giving him the edge in this fight.
And to Camacho's credit, he's standing there and fighting him. He's not being cute. There's a good, quick left-hand lead. Curiel has fought a couple of left-handers. He did not think that Camacho would bother him. One thing that Hector told us he was working on, he was trying to become a better finisher, trying to recognize when he's got his man hurt. In the fight we spoke of earlier with Troy Crane, you and I both thought that he had him hurt on 4 or 5 occasions in that fight, never did jump on him.
Right, and I was a little perplexed that night because they were telling him in his corner, just box him. He had his man hurt and ready to go on a couple of occasions. Just box him, don't go for the knockout. Let's get in the work. Well, you know, you've got to, if you have a man ready to go, you've got to get him out of there. Otherwise, you stand the risk of impending doom, and it nearly happened to Camacho that night.
Hector being very effective here in this second round. And it's not that Curiel is doing anything wrong. It's just a simple fact that Hector Camacho Jr. so far is doing everything right. Round number 3, Hector Camacho in the aluminum trunks and Fred Curiel in the red. Quick left hand. He took a left hand, that's all.
Down through the shows that we've had, Barry, I've tried to reiterate on several occasions that boxing really is a quickness sport. I mean, almost more so than any other sport I can think of. It just really, the guy who is quicker when you have two guys square off really has great opportunity to do damage and more damage to his opponent. You know, even when you think of power punchers, if you think of a guy like Mike Tyson, part of his great success when he was coming up in the 80s and early 90s was due to the fact that he had such incredibly quick hands as well as his power. People were enamored of his power, but it was the way that he struck in such lightning-like fashion that helped him.
And you always hear corners say, be first, be first. I mean, that's become a boxing adage, and only a few guys can beat it.
Well, we're looking at one here in Hector Camacho Jr.
Big right hand for Camacho, and the mouthpiece of Curiel came out. Camacho is not a guy who has one-punch power, but as we said, he knows what he is, and maybe more importantly, he knows what he isn't.
Well, he knows he's not a knockout. But he expects knockouts to come along the way. And, you know, he could get one tonight because of the accumulation of punches that he's putting on Fred Curiel, who's a talented boxer in his own right, but is having difficulty dealing with that speed.
Boy, Curiel walked right into that left hand of Camacho, and the knees buckled.
This is way the best I've ever seen Hector Jr. look.
Oh, yeah. Little holding there, and Benji Estevez tells him about it. Curiel got a left hand, and Camacho takes a step back. That might have been an instance where Camacho thought Curiel was more hurt than he was.
Curiel was very excited about this fight. Barry's, you know, sparred with just great competition and getting ready. Tracy Harris Patterson, guys like Buddy McGirt, Arturo Gotti, down through the several months, and really felt that he was going to come in here and show everybody tonight. But he is having a lot of trouble dealing with Camacho, not only the speed, but the counterpunching ability. I'm loving what Hector is doing tonight in terms of his counterpunching, because he's avoiding punches and then coming right back quickly with counters.
Yeah, very impressive performance so far, and you're right, by far the most impressive that we've seen him.
I think Curiel really expected Camacho to kind of just run from him tonight, and it hasn't worked out that way. Interesting that Curiel said, you know, he idolized Camacho's dad. He said he's got autographed pictures of Macho Camacho.
There's a right hand from Curiel, and that stood Camacho up in another right hand. Well, each has likely felt the other's best so far. Start the fourth round. Curiel closed with a flourish in that third round, but whether or not it was enough is questionable.
I think he certainly got the respect of Junior in that one.
We're at the Trump Marina Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Barry Tompkins, Rich Marotta, your loyal and obedient servants. Freddie Curiel in the red trunks. Hector Macho Camacho Jr. in the silver. I guess we can call those silver, right?
The space age.
Yes.
Hector said he talked to his dad just a couple of days ago. And what I thought was interesting is that Hector Camacho Jr. says his dad did not teach him how to fight.
Right.
I said, well, not any of it. He said he didn't teach him a thing about how to box. He's picked it up on his own.
Well, you know what I really like about him, and of course I have done a number of fights of seniors as well and got to know him fairly well too, but without casting aspersions against senior, Hector really has his head screwed on straight, you know, and I find him to be a very responsible guy, and he's got a goal and he's got an intention, and I wouldn't bet against him.
Well, he says every fight he's learning, he's going to be patient, feels he has a lot to prove because he has the name of Camacho, and he's getting himself very prepared for every fight.
That left hand is very quick. He was saying he wants to fight Julio Cesar Chavez. He thinks that would be an excellent fight. Wants to avenge the loss of his father, he said.
Curiel is picking up his pace here a little bit and trying to go a little more to the body of Camacho.
I think he realized he hurt him in the last round, and now he's getting a little braver here. That's a tough punch to throw right there, a lead uppercut. A little swelling under the right eye of Curiel. I don't believe that will be much of a problem.
It's getting red and angry looking, however, and a little bit of a bruising up on the forehead as well.
Curiel's people say that he has to keep his punches straight. As soon as he starts throwing looping punches, he's got a problem. That was low.
Yeah, he's trying to, remember what we said about he'll do anything to win, and I think he sensed that he was losing the fight, and he has gone more to a mauling style and roughhouse style here, Barry.
And he said, I'll do that if I have to, and obviously he feels like he has to. Again, that left hand from Camacho, and that's been his biggest weapon of the night. We're coming back. Welcome back. We come to round number 5. Freddie Curiel and Hector Camacho Jr. Been an entertaining fight so far. On your card, Rich, you've given 1 round to Curiel and the rest to Hector Jr.
Right, actually the last round is the one that I gave to Curiel. I thought he was carrying the round big time until he ran into that right hand right at the end of the round.
Hey, that right eye is starting to look fairly ugly on Curiel right now, and it's not getting any better.
Curiel is showing a little more upper body movement here, which is not a bad idea when you consider the sharpshooting accuracy of Hector Camacho. And good body work by Curiel. This started in the last round. I think he felt that he was being countered very successfully by Camacho, and he was missing punches to the head, so why not throw a few to the body?
Didn't miss that right hand to the head a moment ago. I mean, it should be said, we talked about Hector Camacho Jr. getting knocked down by Troy Crane. It was one of those 1 in a million punches.
That was a wild shot, and probably Camacho basically, because the fight was so near an end, was just relaxed defensively. He was so far ahead, taking some chances. He was on his back. Curiel realized that he better keep his hand up a little too late.
Yeah. Well, the left hand of Camacho is very quick.
Yeah, and if he can get there with leads like he just did, that's going to spell the end for Curiel, I think. Because he's landed it a couple of times without having to follow the jab, just lead left hands. Boy, is he quick.
Throws it from a lot of angles, too. He doesn't always have it cocked when he throws it. He'll throw it from the hip.
That welt is pushing up against the eye now, Barry, and beginning to close it from underneath a little.
Yeah, and it's all in the area, of course, where the left hand has been landing. And Camacho's savvy enough to utilize that, I would think. So we come to the end of round number 5, and again, Hector Camacho taking a little bit of target practice on a game Freddie Curiel, but he's going to have to find something that hasn't been there.
Here's what we've been talking about. Quickness of Camacho. There's the left-hand lead that we talked about. Look at how he avoids the punches, and he's able, again, with the quickness to get the jab in before Curiel can even reset defensively.
Now round number 6, and Curiel, again, Curiel's been game, but he's just been outgunned. Curiel doing some good work to the body.
Hector Camacho Jr. has managed to get himself a couple of ratings now. Rated 20th in the world in one of the organizations, and in those North American ratings, or whatever they are, he's up around
one of those initials.
Yeah, 11 and 15. But what it basically means is that people are starting to take notice of him. I found this Camacho's comments about his weight and what he likes to fight at very curious. Now, since he's been fighting as a pro, he fights normally around where he is now. Right hand landing there that you saw from Curiel. Camacho said that he likes to punch around, likes to weigh, really. He feels he would be most effective fighting in the 135-pound class. But here he is tonight fighting in the welterweight division at 143.
Yeah, he was telling us he walks around at 132, 133.
Yeah, he said he really had to eat to come up to this weight.
He said he feels strong at this weight, but he feels quicker, of course, at 32, 33. You know, he's got the kind of body, he's got strong legs. It looks like he could probably carry maybe even as much as 47.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't look soft at all. And I'll tell you, he's very quick even at 43. Man.
I was just going to say, he threw that left hand. He was off balance sideways and still made it count. And really starting to bust up Curiel in the process.
The thing that Hector Camacho says he's been doing the most in the gym is working on his patience, looking for real openings, looking for how to counterpunch. And I think all of that gym work for him is paying off here because that's the things that we're seeing tonight out of him.
I do too. In fact, I think that's one of the things that is a difference between he and his father is I think he's really a student of the game. And he's told us many times he'll look at the tape of the fight and he'll say, I didn't do that very well. Or get back in the gym, he'll work on that one aspect, whatever it might be, try to get that resolved. And then the next time, of course, there's something else. So Camacho in absolute control of this fight. And the eye of Curiel not looking good at all. Now for Hector Camacho, of course, we have now fought 6 and he's going 10. So even at this point, he's starting to get toward those uncharted waters. Not concerned, though.
Well, I'm prepared for each fight like it's a championship fight, like it's my last fight, like it's a world title fight. I train to fight 12 rounds, not 10. So I'm training to fight all day. Mentally approaching a fight, come here to box. We're looking for the knockout. When it comes. But we come here to train to fight 10 rounds.
Well, it appears that may be the case unless he can wear his opponent down. And he is doing that.
He's a likable guy, Hector Camacho Jr. I know his father kind of grates on the nerves of a lot of people a lot of times and can be abrasive. But Junior here is a good kid.
That's what I say. He's got his head screwed on pretty straight. And everything is headed in the right direction for him.
And don't get us wrong, he says he has a good relationship with his dad. They talk all the time. He says he's very happy with the relationship that he's got with his father right now.
He's got his 2 aunts, one of whom was instrumental in his growing up here in the audience tonight. Said his mom can't stand to watch him fight.
Now Curiel is faced with a real problem here because he's got to step up his pace. He's got to let his hands go. But the problem is that letting his hands go with someone who's counterpunching as effectively as Camacho, you run a real risk of being nailed.
Camacho now, for the first time tonight, on his bike a little bit, but even this is something of an art form. Curiel missed with that right hand.
Curiel has kind of abandoned that body attack that was successful for him for a couple of rounds, Barry. I think it would be wise for him to go back downstairs again.
Tried to do it right there, and actually Camacho picked him. Don't have our punch profile numbers tonight, but I would suspect Camacho has a very high connection percentage tonight.
Yeah, he's very sharp. Accuracy, very impressive. And he gets to impress a lot of people here tonight. There's a lot of media from around the country here tonight. This is a very big boxing weekend in Atlantic City. David Reed's fighting James Coker tomorrow night here in Atlantic City. Gabriel Ruelas is fighting John Brown. So a lot of people here early and taking in the fights tonight that'll be there tomorrow night as well. I think what is very difficult for Curiel here, Barry, is the fact that, judging from his hand speed, and he's quick-handed, that I would imagine that he probably has the edge in hand speed on almost everybody he fights. And he comes into a ring, and it's very unaccustomed to seeing himself outsped the way that he is here this evening. You can see how Curiel's getting banged up. Curiel coming forward, just grazing the head of Camacho, who's just quick enough to get away from that punch.
Yeah, just caught a little bit of that right hand with his glove. So we come to round number 8. We're going 10. This is our first fight of the evening. Our main event still to come. Starting to get a little chilly back here on the eastern seaboard. We got off the plane last night. It was, in the 30s.
Yeah, it's good boxing weather.
That's right.
George Allen used to say, no matter what the weather, great Redskins.
That's right. That's right. Camacho now into that area where he has not fought before and into the 8th round.
I just don't think that matters in his case, Barry, because you see how relaxed he is in the ring, and he doesn't waste a lot of punches. And a lot of kids who don't have that experience, they may use up all that energy before they get here. And I don't think that's the case at all with Camacho. I don't think it matters. I think what he said earlier about him going 12 is absolutely true. I think he could go 12 here tonight with no problem.
Yeah, there's absolutely no fatigue showing on him at all. He has gone 8 once before, that against Manuel De Leon, 3 fights back. And there's that quick left hand. That's been the biggest weapon for Camacho by far this evening.
Curiel just never even saw that coming. Curiel walked through it, though, Barry. He reacted to it very well. He gave a little nod of acknowledgement to Camacho, came back, but he ran into another shot.
Well, I like the idea that he throws a left hand from a lot of different angles. I don't think it's a punch that's going to get anybody out of there with one connection, but nonetheless, it's very effective.
Curiel wants to get him to fight. Hector showboating a little now. Curiel's only hope really is to get Camacho, I think, to exchange with him, and so he could land a big shot.
I don't think Camacho will make that mistake again.
That's right. He's been down that road before.
Yes. Curiel getting very frustrated here.
He really ran in. That was a tremendous shot that Camacho landed earlier in the round. Best punch. And I just think that Curiel never even saw it, Barry. Just didn't even see it coming. It was so quick.
Well, again, the thing that's impressive to me about how Camacho throws that punches is he doesn't give it the same look twice. He'll bring it from shoulder level one time and from the hip the next.
Curiel still coming forward, though. Still landing the occasional shot.
And still swelled up under that right eye, and it's not getting any better. We're coming back.
Best punch of the fight landed in round 8 by Hector Camacho Jr. A beautiful straight left hand lead thrown with extreme quickness, and even Curiel had to nod his acknowledgement to Camacho. Yeah, that was a good one.
Round 9 now, and Curiel just continues to get beat to the punch, and as you said earlier, there's no replacement for quickness.
And the crowd really admiring Curiel's gameness and bravery and coming after Camacho and getting some good shots in at the end of that last round. Had a little chant of Freddie, Freddie going at the end of the round, and then it started the round here with it as well.
Well, that's one of the things I think that impresses me as much about Camacho tonight is the simple fact that I don't think there's any question but that Freddie Curiel is the best opponent he's fought, and Camacho has stepped up to that level.
Yes, he has, Barry. This is, you know what often happens, though, a lot of times when you're a young guy who's fighting, you fight guys who really can't fight very well. They're kind of, well, Curiel landed his best punch and rocked Camacho a little bit.
And now he'll try to jump on him. Camacho holds on. And he's going to take a point away. So whatever edge Curiel had is gone.
Well, he can't win the fight on decision anyway. He's got to get Camacho out of there.
But he gave Camacho a good chance to recover if, in fact, Camacho was hurt.
Well, he got his attention, Barry. Now Camacho hits him.
And he's going to lose a point. Now it's all even. Tit for tat.
Same foul.
So we'll start over.
So this round will be scored on the 9-point must system. Curiel is trying to cut off the ring in this round, sliding to the side to try to cut the ring on Camacho. See how he's doing that there? He's following him along the ropes, trying to cut him off by sliding to the side.
Well, it was clearly a wake-up call for Curiel. He's being much more aggressive. The crowd takes up the chant you spoke of.
And now they're talking to each other, Barry.
Yep, he wants him to come at him. I don't think Camacho will do that. That was a bad idea by Curiel, and I knew it the minute he did it, and Camacho made him pay with the right hand. Well, Curiel got to him once, but could not catch up a second time. Each man had a point taken away. Not much panic going on there. Let's take another look at that punch that did rock Camacho.
But Curiel's been waiting and hoping he could land one big one to turn the fight around. There you see an off-balance Camacho kind of stumble away. That right hand up high on the head was a good shot and caused Camacho's legs to give way a little bit.
So the 10th and final round, Freddie Curiel has to have a knockout. I don't think there's any question about that. Seems to be a little respect between these two. And a right hand by Curiel. That was a good one also.
Well, Curiel's a little desperate, and he's going to let his hands go. Curiel need not worry about the crowd. He needs to come forward at Camacho and worry about him.
And Camacho on his bike here. Be a good idea for him to try to keep this fight in the center of the ring. He ducks out of there. That was not a punch. Good left hand by Camacho. He took a right hand for it.
Hector looked down at us here and winked. Let us know that he was all right. But both these guys are landing some rather rock-like blows in the last couple of rounds. Curiel probably wishes he fought a little more at this pace earlier in the fight and with a little more of this style. Let his hands go.
And Camacho is just, and this is not the way, you can't argue with what Camacho is doing here, even though he's showboating a little bit, but he doesn't have to get in there and brawl with him.
You see, what he's doing here is what used to infuriate people about his dad. That after he'd be hit a couple of times like he was with Edwin Rosario or something, then he'd go on that bicycle. But like he says, no one likes to get hit. I do believe Camacho has this fight in the bag in terms of the fight on points.
Took a right hand again. He got a little too cute.
Well, I think Freddie Curiel has shown here tonight that he is quite a good young fighter with potential of his own.
Had a little shot that time and didn't quite get home with it. So Curiel has 30 seconds remaining to do some business.
Well, that is sure an angry welt underneath his eye. Bright red.
Crowd doesn't like all this. Now Curiel answers, but Curiel's just got to get busy. And that's it.
Well, that doesn't bother him. He hardly cares.
Curiel being game, but I think in this case, game is only going to get you second best. Crowd very much in the corner of Freddie Curiel, but I think it's going to be for naught. And I think Hector Camacho will have done enough to win this one and win it rather convincingly. We'll be back. Right now, we take it to the center of the ring. Thomas Triber. Thomas.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the scorecards, and we have a unanimous decision. Judge Shafiq Rashada scores about 96 to 93. Judge Calvin Claxton scores about 96 to 92. And Judge John Riley scores about 95 to 93. All to your winner, Hector Macho Camacho Jr.
Crowd might not like it. I think it's probably a pretty fair decision, and there's a man who will bear the price of losing, as you see.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for his opponent,
Very game fighter, and we're going to see him another day, and there's probably most of the guys in this division he could probably whip up on, but tonight he got out-quicked, and right now the man who out-quicked him is with Rich Barada. Rich?
Hector, I thought that was a very impressive showing by you tonight. Your quickness seemed to be the determining factor.
Well, that's my fight, the quickness. I boxed to see what he had the first round. I see he's a strong guy. So I came in box.
And he came on at you at the end. You thought I thought that you fought basically a perfect fight for about 7 rounds. That he started to put it on you at the end pretty good. Were you getting tired at all, this being your first 10-round fight?
First 10 round fight, I wanted to pace myself, see how I went. I knew I won the first 7 rounds, so there's no reason to stay there and brawl from. Strong guy, he was coming. I felt like he was getting strong after every round. But here I am. I won. I'm happy.
Yeah, well, you fought an extremely impressive fight, I thought, tonight, and the right type of style to fight against a guy like this, because he came here to fight. He came here to beat you tonight.
Oh, yes, he came to fight like every opponent come to fight. When they finally fight Hector Camacho Jr., they come to fight.
Mm-hmm. What now for you, do you think, Hector?
Well, that's something that leads to my promoter, America Presents, Dan Goose, and my manager. My job is to fight, so whatever next is next.
All right. Well,
I just want to say to my wife, Ciro, I love you. To my mother, I love you. To Carlota Alfaro, to Spanish Strait, it's my time, junior time.
All right. Well, it was junior time up there tonight, Barry.
More boxing action when we return. You're watching the best of Fight Time on Fox Sports Net. Our next fight was in a place where all of a sudden it's become boxing crazy. Miami, Florida, between a couple of heavyweights who had been to the top and won another chance at that elusive world title. Alex Stewart and Phil Jackson have both been there, and a win in this fight would give them a big leg up toward getting there again. Let's go down to Miami. And we welcome you back once again here in Miami as we get ready for our main event, a big heavyweight showdown between Alex Stewart and Phil Jackson. All right, let's talk about our main event. I know we've both been looking forward to this. Two veteran brawlers, two guys who are really bangers in the ring in the heavyweight division, Phil Jackson and Alex Stewart. That's Alex Stewart there.
Yeah, Alex Stewart, looking over his fight by fight, it looks like the who's who of the heavyweight division. This man has been in with them all, and he has come so close to being the heavyweight champion of the world, but not quite there. We thought Phil Jackson would have all those names that we see on the ledger of Alex Stewart in his record, but Phil Jackson, whenever he stepped up, he faltered, he stumbled, and he got knocked out. Now he says, though, he has a new management team, he is staying in the gym longer, he is running more miles in the mornings, and he says, now I'm ready to ascend back to the heavyweight division. He wants to be a champion.
Well, these are two big men. As we take a look at how they stack up statistically against each other, Alex Stewart, 2 inches taller than Jackson, weighs 6 pounds more, but keep in mind that Stewart has come down from 247 in his last fight to that 232 number. Exact same age, 34, and in the reach, Stewart with a 4-inch advantage. This should be a terrific bout. Don't blink on this one, because they're going to be throwing the big bombs from round number 1. We go now to Thomas Triber and get the official introductions of these two fighters.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Miccosukee Indian Gaming Arena, America presents, and the undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, proudly present to you our featured bout. It is sanctioned by the Florida State Athletic Commission. Chairman is Eric Riley, matchmaker is Tom Brown, and the 3 judges assigned, scoring on a 10-point must system are Peter Trematera, Rick Bays, and Mark Streisand. When the bell rings, the referee in charge of the action will be Jorge Alonso. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our main event. 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting to my left out of the red corner, he's wearing red trunks with black trim and weighed in at 232 pounds. Coming to us from Safety Harbor, Florida, he has a professional record of 42 wins, 7 losses, with 39 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alex the Destroyer Stewart. And his opponent, fighting directly across from him out of the blue corner, tonight he's wearing black trunks with gold trim and weighed in at 226 pounds. Hailing from Miami, Florida, he has a professional record of 40 wins, 6 losses, with 37 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Phil Jackson. Once again, your referee in charge, Jorge Alonso, now to give the instructions.
Go ahead, 2 seconds, I give him. Go ahead, 2 seconds, Billy. Yeah. 2 seconds, right? All right, gentlemen, you received instructions earlier, okay? I'm going to demand a clean fight. Obey my commands, protect yourself. Watch your low blows. When I say break, step back, no punches. No punches after the bell. Any questions here? Any questions here? Touch gloves. Touch gloves. Let's go.
Now this should be interesting. A lot of similarities between these two fighters. Phil Jackson fought for the heavyweight championship of the world against Lennox Lewis, was stopped in '94 by Lewis in 8 rounds. That was the big night of his career. Ironically, Alex Stewart has fought a lot of world heavyweight champions. He fought Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Michael Moore, and George Foreman, but he fought them all when they weren't holding the title. So none of those fights were world championship shots for Stewart. So he is still awaiting a world title bout if he ever gets one in his career. Both these guys have had big, heavy hands throughout their career. Jackson has scored 37 KOs in 40 fights. Stewart, in the red trunks, 39 KOs in his 42 wins.
In 25 in the first 3 rounds, he is a very fast starter. Surprising to see that Phil Jackson has 22 KOs in the first 3 rounds. Phil Jackson says in the ring, I'm a boxer puncher. His best punch, he says, the right hand. Alex Stewart says his best punch is the left hook. He also says he's a boxer puncher. Phil Jackson walked into the Police Athletic League gym in Miami. He was 20 years old and he started boxing and went about 65 times in the non-paid ranks before turning professional. And he did that back in December of 1988.
And Jackson claims he's still a hungry fighter. How could he still be a hungry fighter? Well, he's got 8 kids, 4 sons, 4 daughters. That's a lot of mouths to feed. And he's trying to make some money, and he's trying to make some big money, which he possibly could get if he could get a big victory here and then perhaps take on one of the young guns or one of the ranked heavyweights in a bout that would be even more meaningful. But this is certainly a very meaningful bout for these 2 guys tonight.
Yeah, it's they are standing at the Last Chance Saloon. Jackson says, now I know how important it is for me to win. He says the shape, conditioning is vital. He says I'm running more, I'm more focused on my career. We knew Alex Stewart coming into this. I think everyone in boxing does. He says he's a dangerous fighter. I have great respect for Stewart. He says he's in my way, though. My way to ascending to the top of the heavyweight picture. The fight plan for Jackson was to go to the body early. Whoa, that went in the body.
Jackson, first big punch of the fight. Stewart felt that one and backpedals immediately. Stewart knows he got a little buzzed by that one, and he stepped back to try to collect himself, and Jackson trying to go to work. Still a half minute to go in round 1. Still time for Jackson if he could land the right combination, and that was a very good left hook that he dug in hard to the body of Stewart.
And a good right hand. He can't wait, though. Stewart is hurt right now. Jackson still trying to pace himself. Trying to figure out what kind of arsenal Stewart's going to bring. There's that left hook from Stewart. Alex Stewart better get busy throwing punches or this fight's going to be over. He's going to be knocked out.
We come to the end of round 1.
Using the first round as a testing round. Here is that right hand. Phil Jackson landed that high on the head, kind of on the temple of Alex Stewart. In fact, he hurt him so bad that at the end of the round, when the bell rang, Alex Stewart went back to Phil Jackson's corner. You know, there's been a few times in my career when I was hurt so bad that I wanted to go to the other corner. I didn't take a beating. I didn't want to go back to my own corner. But Alex Stewart, when you know you are hurt, but you don't go down, you're stunned, you are disoriented in the ring, not quite sure what direction you're heading.
Now that was certainly a telltale sign, but I think you could tell even in that round as Stewart lands his own right hand now that he was shaken up by that punch. He stepped back and he moved away and he tried to gather himself before the end of the round. But you know that he kind of looked like a veteran who knew he was buzzed a little bit, and he did a good job.
Yeah, he was definitely floating at the end of that first round.
Stewart, born in London, lived there at an early age, went as a teenager to Jamaica, lived there for 5 years, was involved in all kinds of sports, Alex Stewart. In fact, his favorite was rugby. He was a big, quite a rugby player in Jamaica, and played for the Jamaican national team at one point, but then got involved in boxing, did very well there, and turned professional, and obviously has done very well as a pro.
Well, his father was a cricket player and took him to the cricket grounds where he set him up with another fighter. Alex did well with the other fighter, decided to start boxing. He had about 10 amateur fights before moving to Jamaica. He went 44-6 as an amateur, Alex did, before turning pro back in September of 1988.
You know, his greatest night in boxing probably was in a losing effort to George Foreman. I'm talking about Alex Stewart here. He just fought a terrific fight against Foreman. He went down twice in the first round. He appeared as though he was going to be finished off and won by Foreman, but somehow he came back, and by the fight's end, it was all Alex Stewart, and as he lands a leaping right hand there, and he really lumped Foreman's face into a distorted, unrecognizable gargoyle.
Really a big night for him. Back in 1992, April of that year, he said he started out wrong. He thought he could KO Foreman. Here is Stewart trying to KO Phil Jackson. Good left hook from Stewart. Jackson about to lose his trunks.
And there was a little left hook inside by Jackson, though, that forced Stewart to just, for a second, stop the assault.
Oh, good right hand from Stewart.
Now, the referee is going to have to pick those trunks up, or else we're going to have an X-rated boxing show here before too long.
Oh, how effective a jab would be from both fighters. Alex Stewart knows how to jab. He knows the importance of a left jab.
Good bounce back round for Alex Stewart here.
Yeah.
After a big first round for Phil Jackson, here in the second, it was Stewart who came back. Here we go, round 3. One thing I liked about this, I thought this was a great matchup made by matchmaker Tom Brown. This was really one coming in that nobody seemed to know who was going to win this fight, Sean.
Yeah, really an outstanding matchup. Two fighters who have been to the top and been to the bottom of boxing, and they both are trying to give it their all tonight because they know the significance of a win in this fight. You know, a win tonight would put one of these fighters right back into the mix. This heavyweight division 2, you're only as good as your last performance. That's why both of them fighting in this match, putting their heart and souls into it.
Alex Stewart in much better condition than he was on June the 12th when he scored an 8-round decision over Abdulaziz Mohamed, an abysmal showing that night, even though he won, but he was out of shape. He weighed 247 that night, and he really brought himself down for this one. Got in good shape.
Looked atrocious that night. He said, I took the fight on 2 days' notice. He says, I was a bit out of shape. 3 of my fights fell out. He says, he admits his biggest struggle has been with himself. If he can just remain focused and remain concentrated upstairs at what business at hand. He's a terrific fighter. He's got some great skills. Says that he knows a lot about Phil Jackson. He has a sneaky right hand, and even knowing that, he still got hit with it back in the second round. He says a good puncher, and he's durable. His fight plan tonight for Stewart was to back up Jackson. Jackson doing a nice job of stepping around. Jackson said tonight he was going to try to go to the body of Stewart and throw the right hand upstairs.
Alex Stewart coming back nicely from that dazing that he got in the first round from the right hand of Jackson, trying to land some power shots of his own. We saw him, as we talked about, get really brutalized in round 1 against George Foreman. I asked him what kept him going in that fight, and he just said it was hard. He said, I'm a warrior. He goes, look, I'm going to give it all I've got. I want the fans to know that, and I want them to feel that, and he's already shown that here again tonight. You won't see Alex Stewart just laying down. Good job defensively by Stewart there to get away from that right by Jackson. And Jackson looks as though now he has a healthy respect for Stewart's punch.
Yeah, well, once you get hit from your opponent, you have a definite, quick, healthy respect for your opponent. Never been hit with an easy punch. They all hurt. Oh, jab, jab, jab. When you don't know what to do, jab. It keeps your opponent busy, keeps something in his face, it blocks his vision, and then you can land your hard shots. You set them up with a jab, they think they're going to get easy jab punches. That's when you bring in the big power.
This is round 4, scheduled for 10. Heavyweights in action.
Oh, there it is again.
Jackson, down goes Stewart in the opening seconds of the 4th round. A hard right by Jackson. Stewart taking the mandatory 8 count, and you can expect that he'll get up, which he does. He actually stayed down till 9 that time.
Just what Phil Jackson said he was going to do. He's going to bring in the right hand. Now he has to set that right hand up again. Now Alex Stewart knows the right hand is coming. There's the left hook.
And he's down again for the 2nd time in the round. A tape hanging off of the trunks of Phil Jackson. Stewart looking right at the referee. He'll probably try to get himself back in here. Remember, he was down twice against Foreman and came back and lasted the distance. But here comes Jackson, a heavy-handed sword himself, to try to finish off Alex Stewart if he can. Phil Jackson with 4 of his 8 children in the stands here tonight watching him and cheering for their dad. But Alex Stewart, who also lives in Florida with a wife and a youngster of his own, trying to fight back so that he can continue on. Hard right by Jackson. These two are throwing bombs. They're bringing him from down home, Sean.
Yeah, they know that they need to be throwing bombs, too. Alex Stewart knows he's been on the canvas twice. He knows he can't go down again, and he has to do something to beat Phil Jackson off of him. Jackson has big power in that right hand. Alex Stewart cannot get hit with that right again. He's got to carry that left hand up high. Look how high his hands are now. He knows this is an experienced veteran. 49 professional fights for Alex Stewart, and yet 46 for Phil Jackson.
And yet it is Stewart who is pushing back Jackson, who may be trying to lure Stewart into a mistake so he can throw that right again.
Yeah, you know, what you want to do is get your opponent rushing at you. Make him come in and take your power. There's what Phil's doing. He's playing possum. Come on in here. Alex, I want to show you my right hand and show you the lights.
Alex Stewart down twice in this round, trying not to go down another time because that would end this fight. Phil Jackson shuffling forward, trying to find that right hand once again that has put Stewart down here. Stewart trying to answer with his own left jab.
Yeah, but he's giving Stewart too much time. Stewart's able to recuperate. Jackson has to hit him and hit him often. You're not going to put a good fighter like Alex Stewart out with just one punch. Yeah, you might knock him down. You might knock him down twice, but you're not going to knock him out with just one shot. You got to put the combinations together. If you're Phil Jackson, you start from the body and then work your way to the head.
Do not
One of
count
the few
Alex.
clinches in this heavyweight fight.
And referee Jorge Alonso steps between the two, and there were no punches thrown after that clinch. Stewart again walks to the wrong corner.
Again, you are disoriented when you get knocked out and you don't go down. Here is why.
To Stewart in the corner.
And this is why Alex Stewart is going to the wrong corners. Watch this. Crack! And left leg goes numb. Down to the canvas he goes. But Stewart gets up a little bit later in the round. Running in, he catches this left hook, which also puts him to the seat of his pants. Just did everything he could to stay up the rest of the round, knowing that Alex Stewart had been on the canvas twice in that round. Big concentration. This is his career, and he knows a lot of emotion going on in the head of Alex Stewart. Listening to Tommy Gallagher.
I thought referee Jorge Alonso was a little slow reacting to that first knockdown. That right hand put Stewart down to one knee, and Jackson landed two punches after that, and he tries to come right out and do the same kind of thing at the start of this round.
Yeah, you got to pick it up where you left it off. He still may be reeling from those knockdowns in the fourth round.
That first knockdown was scored in the first 10 seconds of round number 4. Here in the fifth, Jackson tried to come out and catch Stewart by surprise once again. This is a heavyweight 10-rounder here in Miami. Rich Murata, Sean O'Grady ringside as Barry Tompkins takes the night off. And we're watching heavyweights Alex Stewart in the red trunks and Phil Jackson, who scored 2 knockdowns in round 4 in the black.
2 knockdowns in round 4 and a staggering blow back in the first round from Jackson. He has power in that right hand. You know, that's what they've seen about Phil Jackson, that they really like him as a fighter. He's a terrific puncher. He's a big heavyweight. He has good size. He has good all-around skills. But when he moves up in class, he's just unable to deliver that right hand the way that he can in fights when he's in there, when he is the favorite. They want him to be able to pull that heavy lumber out in these big matches.
I tell you, I really feel for guys, boxers at this age, 34 years of age, because I think they know what their situation is, Sean. They know that time is short, and they know that they've got to win. And they know that a loss would be devastating in this kind of a fight.
Well, they're all in a hurry at this age, too. You know, athletes usually mature about 28, 27, 29, somewhere around there. Everybody's different, but that's about the average. And people, once you hit 30, they start talking about you're being over the hill. Or that's what I hear from people who are 30 and over and haven't made it yet.
At 20, they started saying that, wasn't it?
It was 24. My career was over. But yeah, when you start hearing those whispers and those rumors, you really start thinking, I wonder if it's really that way. I wonder if I am slowing. You know, Stewart looks tonight like he's just a step behind. He's just not quite there. With Phil Jackson looks a little bit fresher, a little bit more focused, a little bit more intent. Jackson looks good tonight. You know, Jackson recently changed management, and you wonder about the veracity of fighters doing that. Why change management? But he says it rejuvenated his career. At the time, he was ready for a change.
Well, he signed with America Presents earlier this year, and he beat Brian Smith, and I thought his last performance against Gerard Jones was very good, maybe the best he's shown in years. And so far tonight, Phil Jackson looking very good again against Alex Stewart as we hit the midway point of this scheduled 10-round heavyweight bout. You see Phil Jackson come out for round 6 of the scheduled 10-round heavyweight bout against Alex Stewart. Both of these guys long ago ranked in the top 10, trying to get back there again, have rejuvenated their careers, and here they meet at the late stage of their careers at the age of 34 for each man.
Both of them 34, but Jackson doesn't look 34. Alex Stewart, a little slow, lumbering. You know, he dropped down 17 pounds from his last fight. That may have zapped him. When you take off a great amount of weight like that, 17 pounds, it just makes you lethargic in the ring.
Alex Stewart, hard to believe he hasn't fought for the championship because he fought all those heavyweight titleists. Evander Holyfield, he fought twice. In the first one, he really gave an outstanding account of himself in that first fight with Holyfield. Actually, at one point in that fight, hurt Holyfield and had him going, but couldn't follow it up. When he fought Holyfield the first time, they were each undefeated. Stewart was 22-0. Holyfield was 24-0. You just wonder about something, you know, crossroads type thing, guys meeting a fork in the road like that. Had Stewart been able to follow up and hand Holyfield the defeat in that fight when he had him hurt, what would it have meant in terms of their careers, you know, down the line the rest of the way?
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a fighter that I really had my eye on early in his career, Alex Stewart. He said Holyfield's style was one that just gave me problems. He's quick, he can punch, he takes a good shot, and he has tremendous heart. He always continued to come back. Every time that Stewart would score on Holyfield, Evander would score back. They're not supposed to do that.
That's what Mike Tyson thought, too.
And, you know,
good right hand by Alex there.
Important right hand. Stewart has to start landing his big punches. Especially the last half of this round, of this fight.
Another right hand by Stewart. Caught Jackson off guard. A quick right that he snuck in.
Jackson has grown complacent.
Good left hook and a nice uppercut underneath by Phil Jackson. So he comes bombing back. Stewart trying to win this round.
Yeah. He's been more effective because he has landed more right hands this round. And where he was having difficulty in the previous rounds is getting that left hook working. When you start working the right hand, your opponent looking for that. Oh, both of them battling.
Yeah, that was a nice exchange. Stewart landed a little earlier and a little more, but Jackson may have had the hardest punch in that flurry.
Combination is now the key. Both fighters have to work in combinations. One shot's not going to do it.
We come to the final seconds of round number 6. This was a close round. Tough one for the judges here. Stewart trying to stay in this fight.
Step back.
Round 7 scheduled for 10. Fight Time on Fox presenting heavyweights, and a good competitive heavyweight battle here tonight between two guys who have fought the best in the world in their career. Won another big shot. Phil Jackson in the black trunks, Alex Stewart in the red trunks. Stewart in much better condition than he's been in for a while, trying to get back in this fight. Remember, he was knocked down twice earlier in the bout. And I think it was an unlikely possibility, Sean, that this fight would go the distance, but I think we're faced with that right now.
Well, you have two power punchers. Remember, back in the fourth, when Stewart was down 2 times, it looked like the fight was over, but he did everything that he could to stay on his feet. He was even hurt back in the first round, and he has not been able to hurt Phil Jackson the way that Jackson has hurt Stewart. Stewart has to block Jackson, make him respect Stewart.
Right, I got it. Come on, don't hold the ground like that, man.
I thought it was interesting that Stewart told us tonight when he came up and said hi before the fight that he admitted to being nervous, which I think most fighters are before their fights.
But they'll never admit it.
They don't all admit it, right?
They'll never let him see a sweat. Speaking of sweat, look at all that sweat on the back of Alex Stewart.
Work out of there. Let's go. Alex, you got to bring him up.
Losing a lot of water. You know what these fighters do is they dry out before the weigh-in so that the weight can be low. They don't take any water for a couple of days, and they load up after weigh-in. All that comes out when you work out a hot Miami night like this.
The work inside here.
Yeah.
Nice finishing left hook to that exchange by Jackson. Who has the advantage in the inside fighting, do you think, Sean?
I think Jackson does. He has obviously has been able to land with that right hand. He has been cautious of the left hook of Stewart. He told me that he knows Alex is a good left hook puncher. He's going to carry his right hand higher tonight, which he has done. He's virtually shut down that left hook of Stewart.
You know, whoever wins this fight, it will be one of the very biggest wins of their career, their long careers. Nice left hook by Jackson, and that got Stewart's attention once again. He dazed him with that, and he rocks him with another left hook.
This is what we have needed from Phil Jackson throughout his career. I mean, when he stepped up to fight the fighters like Brian Nielsen, Lennox Lewis, Jeremy Williams, and these are fighters that he should move up to another level. Razor Ruddock.
Come on.
You know, he said in that Ruddock fight, I just wasn't ready for the big fight atmosphere, because I was psyched out by the big crowd and on the undercard of one of the Tyson fights.
Yeah, you know, he says, Phil, and I think he's probably right, that while he always prepared mentally and physically, he prepared physically rather, but now he prepares mentally much better than ever. And he shot there.
This is how important focus is. Look at the eyes of Phil Jackson. He is so focused on Alex Stewart. He takes the shot, a hard punch from Alex Stewart, a left hook, and he comes back with a left hook of his own. He is a determined man right now, Phil Jackson is. More determined than Alex Stewart. A couple of real amiable people outside the ring.
Yeah, they're very friendly guys. Both articulate guys. Nice guys, just plain good guys. As we told you earlier, dads. Although Phil Jackson brings it to an extreme with 4 sons and 4 daughters, 8 children, many of whom are here tonight, as long as a couple of nephews as well as he brought.
That's why his cheering section is here. The crowd favorite, of course, the crowd is his kids.
Good left hook again by Phil Jackson. Stewart, who packs plenty of punch himself, still coming back, but perhaps some of that power taken out of his punches by some of the big shots that he has absorbed from Phil Jackson.
Well, Stewart was hoping to get Jackson backing up tonight, but tonight it has been action Jackson.
No, don't push him down.
This is what we expected to see from Phil earlier in his career,
Watch your head, Alex.
but he never produced.
And Stewart, true to his word, is not quit when he got in trouble. He said, I'll give it all I've got. That's the way I fight. That's how I've fought in the past. I'll give everything I have. And he certainly has done that tonight.
Well, when he went down 2 times back in that 4th round, he could have stayed down.
Well, you know,
but he got up. He's a tough warrior. He's a veteran.
He's got respect, self-respect, and respect for the sport.
Some pride, and he's still fighting back. He only has 2 more rounds and a minute to do it. 39 KOs in his 42 wins, but has never scored a late KO. Not this late. His latest 7 rounds on a couple of occasions. Phil Jackson has scored 2 8-round knockouts, with the last one back in 1990.
Now this is a close round. Stewart would love to put this one in the bank if he could, because he's trailing on points in all likelihood and needs to get some rounds. He's got about less than a half a minute to come up with something big, maybe to steal this round.
And he's got a Phil Jackson who has slowed this round, taking a round off, a window of opportunity open for Stewart, but it is closing as the seconds count down.
Little uppercut that he snuck in there, Alex Stewart. As we come to the end of round 8, very entertaining fight, and we've still got 2 rounds to go. 6 minutes of boxing left between these 2 heavyweights. Alex Stewart, screen left in the red trunks. Phil Jackson in the black trunks. Phil, who has lived all his life right here in Miami. And Alex Stewart, who now lives in Safety Harbor, Florida. It is a Jackson who is in all likelihood well ahead, but a Stewart who is still full of fight. Two knockdowns in this bout, both recorded by Phil Jackson.
Yeah, look at Stewart now. He is certainly knows the score. He knows what's happened. And he is punching like he wants a knockout. Jackson The one holding, look at that right arm of Jackson, tying up. Just hold on. Jackson knows he's ahead in this fight.
Both these guys been around a long time. Alex Stewart, remember him from the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, where he was hopeful that he'd win a medal, but he lost in the second round to a Swedish fighter.
Two-time National Golden Gloves finalist. Pushing with his punches now, both of them. This is a very physical fight at this point. Tying up, pushing, pulling. Oh.
Shot on the top of the head there seemed to strike a chord. Landed by Jackson, who hasn't gotten off with the frequency here in the last 2 rounds that he was earlier.
Not with that right hand anyway. There's what he wants. He didn't hit the mark, but he wants to let that right hand go. You got to turn that right hand over too. Thumb up, thumb down. You pronate the blow right at the point of contact. Adds a little bit of snap to it. A little crack. Kind of like a baseball player cracking the bat. Mark McGuire. Kind of a golfer.
Stewart staying right on top of Jackson here in this round. What do you think about that strategy, Sean?
Well, I think Stewart is the one who needs the punching room. He's the one that needs the power. Good strategy for Phil Jackson. He's smothering the power of Stewart, and Stewart knows what he needs at this point is a KO. He is not going to get this decision.
Well, although Jackson has done almost nothing in this round until that left hook.
Final 10 seconds. You got to pour it on. When you hear the final 10 seconds, you got to try to steal the round.
Be a tough guy. Punch, punch, punch.
He knows you got to punch, punch, punch. Phil Jackson, deep breath before the round begins.
Phil looks very wary over there in that corner.
Well, he should. He just fought a tough, durable 10 rounds, 9 rounds, now into the 10th.
Yeah, and he's got a developing knot over the right eye.
Let's untie it. They should have untied that between rounds.
Yeah. Fortunately, it happened late in the fight for Jackson. It hasn't really played a part at all.
But it hurts. Well, these two will feel this tomorrow and the next day. A lot of punches, a lot of shots.
Nice right hand counter by Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart looking. Look at these. Look at these punches from Stewart. Now looking for the KO. This is time ticking away for Stewart. Phil Jackson to tie up, hold on. Phil Jackson, ever since that 7th round, Jackson's been kind of going through the motions. He's really slowed down. A window of opportunity open for Alex.
Well, the last thing anybody thought coming in here was that this one would go the distance. Jackson with 37 KOs out of 40 wins. Stewart with 39 KOs out of 42 wins. Each of them have only gone the distance 3 times to get a victory in their career. Phil Jackson, helped by the fact that he has been staying active. His 4th fight in the last 9 months. Jackson goes down, but that is a slip. That is not a knockdown. Let's go. And Jackson was just getting himself warmed up again.
And a good right hand from Stewart. Jackson could still get a knockout here. He has hurt Stewart on a couple of occasions this round. Stewart wobbled once more.
Each of these guys
this round
looking desperately for one big chance at a big fight. And they're taking off a point from Alex Stewart for holding, excessive holding on Phil Jackson. I think that's an unwarranted point taken off myself. There hasn't been any warnings to Stewart for holding, but Jackson going in looking for a KO now.
Well, it's not going to matter because Stewart is so far behind in this fight. He's about to lap himself. Stewart needs the KO. That's what Tommy Gallagher tried to impress upon him between rounds. His corner man said, you got to punch, punch, punch. Go for the KO, and he gets punched. Backing up, Stewart's hurt again. You know, when you have a fighter who is aging like Alex Stewart is, and I know these two are the same age, but Stewart's been through too many tough fights. Back-to-back tough fights has taken it out of him. Now he can see the punches coming, but he cannot get out of the way of them. You know, you have a fighter who is aged.
But as he said, a warrior to the very end. He would not quit. He'd give it all he got, and he's hanging in there here tonight against the heavier punching of Phil Jackson, who it appears to us is about to win a decision and perhaps move on to a big fight against one of the young guns coming up, or against an established contender that could thrust him right back into the picture. Nice bit of applause for the two combatants here. A good fight between these two. And Alex Stewart cut late in the fight, and they have to attend to that now. But the fight is over, and I think both guys are glad.
Yeah, cut and swelling around that left eye. But Phil Jackson has to be happy with his performance tonight. He had looked as though his career was on the downslide, but tonight he showed us that his career is not over, and that he does want to step up to the plate. Thrust into the top 10.
Well, we are going to come back and get the official decision. We think it will be Phil Jackson, but only the judges can render that verdict. So stay with us, and we'll get that official decision when we come back to Fight Time on Fox. All right, back in Miami once again on Fight Time on Fox. Rich Morano along with Sean O'Grady. We've just witnessed the heavyweight 10-rounder as for one of the few times in either of these men's career they have gone the distance. Two knockout artists, two 34-year-old knockout artists, Phil Jackson and Alex Stewart, grasping at what they hope will be an opportunity to fight a big fight once again. It has gone to the decision, to the surprise of many, and we will get that decision right now from Thomas Schreiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the scorecards, and we have a unanimous decision. All three judges are in agreement, scoring about exactly the same, 94-93, all in favor of your winner, Phil Jackson.
Well, that is surprisingly close, 94-93, the score on all three judges' cards, which would indicate that they've given Alex Stewart 6 rounds apiece, the judges. Stewart came through, and perhaps in those last couple of rounds was stealing rounds by throwing more punches than Jackson, but nonetheless, the heavier punching of Jackson and the ability to score those 2 knockdowns now obviously critical insofar as the scoring was concerned, as Jackson wins a unanimous decision by the scant margin of 94-93 on all three judges' scorecards. Standing by with the winner right now, Sean O'Grady. Sean?
Phil Jackson, you turned the clocks back tonight. You know, a lot of people thought your career was over. Why did you look so impressive tonight?
Because I think I wanted it. First of all, I'd like to thank God, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for giving me the strength to come out here to fight somebody like Alex Stewart. Yeah, people say that my career is over, but that was one of the reasons why I wanted to show him tonight that my career is not over.
What did you prove tonight?
I proved that I could go 10 hard rounds, take a pretty decent punch, and come back and give some punches of my own.
You told me tonight you were going to use the right hand over the top, and that's exactly what you did. What did tonight tell you about yourself?
It told me I could punch.
Yeah, we knew that. I think Alex knows that too.
Well, it told me that with a little concentration and a little help from my trainer and them, and that encouraged me to throw the overhand right. Proved to me if I listen to my trainers that I can get the job done.
Well, you listened to your trainers in scoring the knockdowns tonight. Let's take a look here. You know, you caught him with some nice right hands, and you're not known as a left hook puncher, but this right hand back in the 4th round put him down. Did you think he would get up?
Yeah, I thought he'd get up. I thought I just grazed him with that right hand. If I could have caught him solid, he wouldn't have never got up.
Yeah, and then he got up from that, and you caught him with a left hook. But you're not used to throwing that left hook, are you?
That's what people think. I'm not. My deadliest punch is the left hook. Really.
And here it comes. The left hook, he was on the inside. You liked fighting on the inside. He didn't move as much as you wanted him to.
No. If I would have
expected him to.
Woo, that was a jab? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. You seemed to handle him with ease tonight. Did you expect that going in?
Yeah, most definitely.
Why? Tell me why.
My trainers put me through a terrific training method. It's good to have somebody encouraging you, to tell you, hey, man, you got the power. You can put them away.
You know what? 34 years old, this has to give you something good for the future. What would you like for it to happen next in your career?
Give me someone in the top 10. Anybody in the top 10, man. Let's bring it on. I'm ready. I showed tonight that I'm ready. And yeah, let them bring it on. I'm ready.
Okay, well, I think Rich Murata will probably bring him on. Rich, this is a man that wants somebody in the top 10. Can you get him someone?
Yeah, I'll be on the phone first thing in the morning to the promoters at America Presents and see if they can work that out. But Phil Jackson deserves a shot at a little something bigger now. He's made a nice comeback in his career. 4 very impressive wins in a row. We'll be right back.
While we have a moment, let's flash back to a collection of classic boxing rounds from our Fight Time on Fox telecasts. January 16th from Atlantic City, heavyweight Frez Oquendo takes on Rahman Green.
Touch and step back.
Final round here is Frez Oquendo and Rahman Green come to the center of the ring, and the fight could hang in the balance.
All right, step out of there, both of you. Come on, clean.
Green trying to stay a little closer, looks like, and hits Oquendo with a combination. Not a big one, but nonetheless a combination. Good right hand from Oquendo. Maybe the best punch of the fight.
So just like that previous fight against Sam Williams, Oquendo has some rough moments and then all of a sudden comes alive.
That left hand knocked Green backward.
Yeah, and that was a jab, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was.
Oquendo, like, where'd he go?
I think Green's hurt. Big right hand drops it. Right on the button.
Oh, boy, I don't know if that last round or what was a wake-up call for Oquendo, who just...
6, 7, 8. Step forward.
What a shot. And Oquendo lost a few seconds in the count there because he had gone away from the neutral corner.
Well, he could jump on him right now because Green is still gone. Down he goes. And that's it. Very wisely done by Frez Oquendo. Knew he had his man in big trouble. Knew he was only going to take one punch and just got on him right now. A lot of fighters don't recognize when their man is in serious trouble. Oquendo certainly did in that case.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's a stupid sport, isn't it?
Well, after Green's very best round, Oquendo came on, and look at that right hand. A crushing right. He put his body completely into it. He's already coming forward, leaning forward. So the whole weight of his body completely behind that punch.
And right on the button. That's like one of those video games.
And here's the second and final knockdown again with the right hand. And Oquendo, just like that last fight, has a few rough moments and then comes back to KO his man.
June 19th, Kenny Bowman versus Derek Harmon, a light heavyweight brawl. Round number 2, and Rich, in Bowman's corner, Greg Page is as animated as I have ever seen Greg Page.
And during the course of the between rounds period, as he was giving instructions, he was getting more heated, and his voice was escalating with each sentence until he was yelling to where you could hear him in any part of this arena by the end of that 60 seconds.
And there's a left hand, and that buckles the knees of Bowman. And Harmon trying to jump on him.
He looked as though he was going to fall.
2, 3, 4, 5. What a surprise
6,
here.
7, 8, 9.
Not going to make it. It's over.
Interestingly enough, Bowman got up immediately upon the count of 10 while not moving for those 10 seconds. He got up immediately and walked to his corner, and he walks, not wobbly-legged, over to his opponent now.
That is a little strange, isn't it? And that, of course, coming on the heels of that lecture that he got from Greg Page.
Well, that is shocking. I believe it was the one punch, the left hand. And there's Arnie Rosenthal, his manager, Elon Heim, one of the assistant trainers, Joe Goosen, his trainer now. Let's take a look at the knockout now because it was most unexpected. Bowman backed into the ropes. Kind of lunged straight forward. There's that shot to the side of the head. That buckled him. It looked like he was going to go down there. You could tell he was hurt. He covered up. And the accumulation of blows. This is good work by Harmon. All of these punches are landing, body and head. And all that was excellent work following the knockout, Barry. As you can see, he was looking over his opponent, seeing where he had the opening, and then going after him.
That was very impressive as Derek Harmon, undefeated in 14 fights, stealing the thunder of Ken Bowman, who had done that exact thing against Murky Sosa just 2 fights back. October 8th, Alex Stewart versus Ezra Sellers. Heavyweights get it on.
So this guy's still waiting for a break. And with all those guys being heavyweight champions that he fought, Barry, he never has actually fought for the championship. That was all at a time when all of those guys were not holding the title.
He's still very optimistic that his chance will come. And, of course, he needs to get by Ezra Sellers tonight in order to make that a feasibility. They're working on what might have been a little nick up above the eye between rounds. I didn't see any blood, but...
Sellers, son of a minister, grew up in Washington, D.C. First got involved in boxing there, but really didn't do well until he went down to North Carolina, and all of a sudden he found himself sparring with some real quality fighters.
Oliver McCall to be one, Burt Cooper,
Tim Witherspoon. In fact, he sparred with Tim Witherspoon to get ready for this fight. Witherspoon had to get ready for his own match against Andrew Golota. Stewart getting home with some shots really for the first time in the fight. Sellers is fairly quick-handed. You'd like to see him be a little busier in there.
Sellers feels that the only downside of his future is the fact that he's a little lighter than most of the top-notch heavyweights at around 215.
Although he looks bigger, doesn't he? Yeah, I think he's grown into the division pretty nice. He doesn't look real soft like some of these blown-up light heavyweights or cruiserweights.
Oh, he looks fit, to be sure.
There's those quick hands, Barry. See, he really should let his hands fly some. Sellers really punches very quick, and I think Stewart might have some difficulty with that quickness tonight if Sellers throws some punches.
Now, the opponent tonight was supposed to be Phil Jackson, but Jackson, there's a good right hand, and down goes Sellers. Now, Sellers ran into trouble against Marion Wilson as he was caught flush. He appears to be all right, but let's see how Stewart plays this. He's going to take a long look into the eyes of Ezra Sellers.
And that was a terrific shot by Stewart. He said he's always been known as a puncher. He's had big moments against great fighters.
Right hand by Sellers, and down goes Stewart. Stewart got careless.
We may have to call this a 10-10 round.
Yes, there you go. I'm not doing it again. Somebody else go down. I think Stewart just got careless. I think a look at Sellers and you knew he wasn't hurt. And I think it was wishful thinking on the part of Stewart. Another good right hand by Sellers. Stewart down again. And this time he may not make it.
He needs the ropes to help him get up.
And he's up, but he's wobbly. And a good long look here. He is gets it through the round somehow.
3 knockdowns in the second round, and he's got to get over to Kevin Rooney and quick. He is stumbling back to his corner.
Well, wasn't that something?
He appeared to have the fight almost won with that big shot. It drove Sellers down, but you were right to warn everybody that you'd seen Sellers go down before and get up and have the resourcefulness to get himself right back into a fight.
I think that was a flash knockdown. I don't really think Sellers was hurt by that. And again, you can look into a fighter's eyes generally and know if he's really hurt, or look at his legs, and I didn't see that in Sellers.
He's smart dude.
Let's take another look. Got a lot to talk about here.
All right, but very surprised. It comes like a flash out of nowhere. There's a left, a follow-up right hand, and the legs just collapse underneath. Ezra Sellers, down he goes.
Sellers was able to score 2 knockdowns himself. This was the second one. Stewart was already hurt and headed down. December 3rd, Phil Jackson fights Ray Annis. Round number 2 upcoming. Annis in the white and Jackson in the black trunks. And I'm sure in Jackson's corner they talked about doing a little bit more business. Yeah, he needs to get a little busier. Annis, I think, probably just wanted to come out here and have a reasonable first round after that disaster that was last time here. And he certainly had that. He may have even won the round. Barry Tompkins, Rich Marotta. We're at Casino Magic here in Bay St. Louis. This is our co-main event. Hector Camacho Jr. has won the first half of our co-main, and now it's Phil Jackson and Ray Annis, heavyweights, with a possible title shot on the horizon. Jackson in range for a right hand, was a little short with it. And Jackson clearly doing more business here. Yeah, he did some good work to the body just before he missed those head punches. That's probably not a bad idea.
Step back. Let's go clean.
Ray Annis was born in Haiti, stayed in Haiti till he was 10 years old. He remembered what he thought was really a lot of poverty, felt it was a poverty-stricken nation, but he said he did not grow up in under those conditions, under real poverty-stricken conditions, but still, he and his mother moved to the United States, in particular Brooklyn, New York, he said just basically in hopes of living a better life.
Step back.
Well, growing up under Baby Doc Duvalier, dictatorship in Haiti, not at that time a pleasant place to live. When he came to the U.S., he participated in just about every sport, starting at 10, except boxing. He did not start boxing until he was 20 years old. And he still hasn't really broken a sweat. And the other thing that's happening here in the second round is Phil Jackson is starting to get a little bit more in punching range. And he's just getting into the fight now, I think, Phil. Phil Jackson, father of 8 children. And as he put it to us this afternoon, I love them all. He's got his second son, Joey, with him tonight. He said Joey's his biggest fan and like a little trainer for him. You know, the last time when we saw him down in Miami, I'm talking about Phil Jackson, when he fought Alex Stewart, he walked in that night, he looked like the Pied Piper or something. There was about 12 kids hanging around him, and they were all his kids, his nephews, nieces. He had brought his own fan club.
Stop your punching. Step out. Stop your punching. Stop your punching.
He said the only problem with having his son on the trickery, it keeps him up talking till 2 o'clock in the morning. Every punch in this fight from both men is designed to knock the other man out. And there is a huge left hand. Usually it's the right cross for Phil Jackson. This fight's over. There's no way Annis gets up from this. It's over. What a shot. Annis is still out. He can't let it continue, I don't believe. Annis is just way out of it.
You all right?
Oh, his head hit very hard. You don't want to let this go. Well stopped. Well stopped. You know, usually it's the right cross with Jackson. I think that's the first time we've really seen him do that kind of thing. Barry with the left hook. That was a tremendous shot, and I'm glad the referee stopped it because it was one of those double concussions. He hit his head very hard on the canvas. And remember, you and I, about an hour before the fight, were tapping on the ring here just to see what this ring was all about. It's a very hard ring. It's not a well-cushioned ring. Phil Jackson showing he's still got it. He is fighting better than ever. And this is a guy who once fought for the heavyweight championship against Lennox Lewis. It's going to be a one-punch knockout. There's your punch of the year right there. Classic one-punch knockout by Phil Jackson. Look at that shot. I don't think we've seen a better punch all year long. Maybe since this series has been on the air. What a beauty. That's a wrap for this hour of boxing. For my partners, Rich Marotta and Sean O'Grady, I'm Barry Tompkins. So long, everybody.